What positional advantages can white aim for in the Philidor Defense? When considering the Philidor Defense, you might wonder what positional advantages white can aim for. This opening can lead to some interesting dynamics. White's primary goal is to take advantage of the space and piece activity that often arises from black's somewhat passive setup. Black typically plays moves like pawn to e5 and pawn to d6, which can lead to a solid but cramped position. This gives white several strategic opportunities to exploit. First, white can establish strong control in the center. By playing moves like pawn to d4 and knight to c3, white gains more space and freedom for piece movement. This central presence allows white to dictate the flow of the game while limiting black's piece activity. Next, white can develop pieces more actively. Placing bishops on aggressive squares like c4 or d3 and knights on c3 and f3 can create a more dynamic position. In contrast, black's pieces may remain more defensive, especially the dark-squared bishop, which often feels restricted by the pawn on d6. Another advantage for white is the ability to prevent black's counterplay. Moves like a4 can stop black from expanding on the queen side with moves like pawn to c5 or pawn to b5. By maintaining this spatial advantage, white keeps black's pieces cramped and unable to find effective play. White can also focus on targeting black's pawn on e5. Since black defends this pawn with the pawn on d6, white can increase pressure on it through moves like pawn to f4. This not only supports the pawn on e4 but also challenges black's central control, potentially forcing defensive moves. Flexibility in pawn structure and plans is another key advantage. White can choose between solid development or more aggressive strategies, like pushing the kingside pawns with moves such as f4 to open lines for an attack. This flexibility often puts black in a reactive position. Finally, white can exploit black's slightly passive setup. With black's pieces often cramped, white can maneuver to take advantage of weak squares or delayed development. Rapid castling and central control can help white launch an initiative. In practical terms, white's approach in the Philidor Defense revolves around maintaining the initiative. By using better space and piece activity, preventing black's counterattacks, and patiently building pressure, white can convert the opening advantage into opportunities in the middle game.